Hey, Free Mind, you crazy for this. Soulful. It's like our responsibility to make us feel something. You know, to make people feel what we feeling. Hey, yo.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Comics Today Show, a show that we do on Wednesday to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And we had a few technical glitches the first time around, but fingers crossed that things are back on track. As I mentioned, it has been quite some time since the Gibbon made an appearance and caused some technical difficulties. Most recently, they had me sounding like an alien, where my voice was all jacked up. Today, we had some issues with the picture, but fingers crossed that things are back on track now. Occasionally these things happen, but as I mentioned previously, there is a chance that this could be a short show. I have been traveling for business for the last few days and just completed a 3-hour drive to return home after being away for a few days, which means that there was not a whole lot of show prep. There was a lot of socializing, talking, a lot of coffee consumption, forced fun, and all that good stuff at this work activity. Not a whole lot of time was reserved for show prep, but we are going to attempt to make some magic happen by covering off on a few housekeeping items. And one of those things that we are going to cover off on is we are going to announce the winner of the Shortboxed giveaway. This is a giveaway I do at least once a month, in which I award a $100 credit to one lucky subscriber to be able to buy anything on the Shortboxed app, or at least take a $100 discount on something that is on the Shortboxed app. Shortboxed has been supporting the channel for quite some time. I had an opportunity to see one of the owners just the other day at Heroes Con. It's really awesome. Anytime I have a chance to mix it up with the guys from Shortboxed, just really good people from the owner all the way through that organization. So shout out to them. And just in a minute, we are going to announce who that Shortboxed giveaway winner is. Some folks have already made note of the wall that is behind me. We have switched up the wall. We changed up a couple of things. Chris Bigger says that the wall is still jacked up because a lot of the DC books have fallen from the wall. So he says that there is something wrong with the picture. No, sir. No, sir. There is nothing wrong with the picture. We are back on track. Let me give you guys a rundown of the things that are on the back wall right now. We have New Mutants 98, the first appearance of Deadpool. Next to that, we have X-Force issue number 2, the second appearance of Deadpool. That one is also actually a newsstand. Next to that, we have Darkhawk issue number 1. Next to that, Spider-Man issue number 1 that was given to me by my wife, signed by Todd McFarlane, hence the green label. Thanos Quest issue number 1 is next to that, and that is my original copy from my childhood back in the day. Batman Adventure number 12, the first appearance of Harley Quinn. The next one is I never know how to pronounce that, issue 0 from Valiant. On the second row, New Mutants 87, the first appearance of Cable. X-Men issue number 266, the first cover and second appearance, cameo appearance, and appearance of Gambit. X-Men issue number 4, the first appearance of Omega Red. X-Men issue number 1, volume 2, the Magneto cover. Newsstand is back there. Adjacent to that is X-Men issue number 282. And then Wildcats gold foil issue number 1, Wildcats silver foil issue number 2. Now the question is, what is the theme of the wall? That is the question. What is the theme of the wall? Somebody said X-Force 2 is so underrated. You can still get it for under $10. Is that the newsstand, though, or is that just across the board? I haven't looked at prices for X-Force 2 in quite some time, but that is the newsstand that is back there. Who knows? I have no clue how much the newsstand versus direct is. I'll be completely honest. Jim Lee, there you go. Wildcats, very cool. Love the foil. Ooh, Frog Brawler. Frog Brawler, got it. It is all about the 90s. This was when I was in comics for the very first time. I decided to do a 90s theme. It gave me an opportunity to pull out Darkhawk #1, which you guys know I am a huge fan of. Frog Brawler. Send me an email. Send me an email, Frog Brawler, Regie at RegieCollects.com. You, sir, have won yourself a copy of the Isolation Ash Can. Send me an email with your government name, not the Frog Brawler, your government name, your address, only if you're in the US. Send it to me, and I'm going to send you a copy of Isolation issue #1, a comic that we are putting out in July, that we are very excited about. This Ash Can contains the first 7 pages of the comic. Frog Brawler, you have been awarded this, but you have also now been sworn to secrecy with whatever you read inside of the 7 pages. You cannot talk about publicly, post it publicly, any of that other kind of stuff, because we don't want to ruin it. He says he's in Florida. I believe that is inside the continental United States. You, sir, are a winner again of Isolation. All right, at least the Ash Can. All right, so we got that. Let's go ahead. Let's do this. Let me go to the chat here. And what we're going to do is, because this is a celebration of New Comic Book Day, if you hit up an LCS today and you picked up some books, I want to know what it is that you picked up. If you read something that is really good, that other people need to know about it, that other people need to put on the top of our stacks, I want to know that as well. And if you want to shout out your LCS, feel free to do that. One of the questions that I get from people oftentimes is, what good is out? What's out right now that's good, that's worth reading? And that's part of the reason why I ask you guys this question every single week, is I like to be able to point to the Wednesday show as a show that people can tune into to find out what's worth reading when it comes to new comics. And that's there's a method to my madness. Chris Bigger says, can read Frog Brawler. We will find you in Florida, sir. We will find you in Florida. If any secrets are revealed to Chris Bigger, you can reveal them to somebody else, but never Chris Bigger. Never Chris Bigger. What is that? Doug says, The Good Asian Volume 2. He picked up the trade. Land of the Living Gods. That's what's up, says Latif. Just read New Mutants 25, 26. Very good. Magic and Company in Limbo. There you go. Fight the Good Fight. Picked up all kinds of sweet goodness, including Batman 423 reprint, Space Ghost from 1987, CGC 9.6, Black Adam #1, the new FF. There's a new FF? Huh. I did not know that. New FF, DC versus Vampire Killers, and a host of others. That's what's up. Very good. Fight the Good Fight. And he clearly gets the theme. While this is about new comics, it is also inclusive of comics that are new to you. So feel free to shout those things out as well. My man Matt Woods, how you doing, Blue Wrench? It says Spawn, Scorch, Darth Vader 24. Deuce's boy is in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Shadow says Spawn, Gunsinger Spawn, Scorch. Did you pick up anything that isn't from Todd McFarlane? Anything, Shadow, from... Let me see. I'm not touching that. Okay. As a reminder, this show that many of you are in right now, watching live or possibly watching on replay, will be re-released as a podcast. And there are some elements that you will not be able to fully appreciate that I show on screen that I do not read out loud. So there's certain things I'm just not going to touch. 8 Billion Genies, issue #2. The first issue exploded today as well, from a $5 book to a $15 to $25 because of the Amazon announcement. I think they optioned that as a new thing. I think Key Collector app sent that announcement out, and so I am not surprised about the explosion in any way, shape, or form. Trav, how you doing, brother? He says nothing new, but started Star Wars, The High Republic, and he's liking it. A lot of people have said very good things about that run from the very beginning. Paradise is in the house. How you doing? It is good to see you. I know you missed a couple of live streams. I saw that comment up above. It is always good to see you. A lot of people will come in and they will come out and they're always like, hey, it's good to see you doing your thing. I am nothing if not consistent. At least I try to be. It is good to see you. New Fantastic Four. I am going to have to check that out. Steve White says Iron Cat #1, Public Domain #1. And Variant #1 are the new books. Not sure how they will pan out. That, sir, is a legitimate comment. Decal, you're going to have to drop 1G. You're going to have to drop 1G, just a single G in the whole thing. Scrolling, Turbo Man is giving a shout out. He's like, hey, I don't have any new books, but I got a bunch of new to me stuff. X-Men 40, Batman 136, FF28. Congrats on that, brother. T. Ravis Travis Comics is in the house. It is good to see you, brother. Welcome, welcome. For those folks that are tuning in a little late, we're feeling frisky. We've given away a copy of the Isolation Ash Can already to Frog Brawler, who is in Florida. We're going to get that bundled up and shipped out. Again, this show may be a lot of housekeeping stuff, so bear with me. We put it out there in the last live stream that if you were able to send me a photo of all 4 of the trading cards that I've been issuing in the Swoldier supply box, which is something that comes out every single month. If you were able to send me all 4 of the trading cards in picture form, you would receive a copy of the Ash Can. That prize has been claimed. The OG Blue Wrench, Tina, claimed her Ash Can because she sent me a photo of all 4 of the wonderful trading cards. Shout out to Tina. She sent me a message. She was like, has anyone claimed this yet? And she's like, if not, I am ready to claim it. And so then she sent me her image. So I bundled that up for her. And Tina, that will be mailed out to you tomorrow. All right. Let's go ahead and announce the winner of the Shortboxed giveaway. And again, I'm very thankful for all of the companies that choose to work with the channel. We don't make a ton of money from the ads here on YouTube. And so we are very thankful for all of the sponsors that choose to lend their support, that put me in a position to be able to continue releasing content. But in addition to that, many of them go above and beyond, and they put me in a position to be able to give things away to you guys. Shortboxed is one of those companies that gives out a $100 credit that can be used on their app. And I will put a link in the description for you to be able to download their app. But we're going to announce the winner of that $100 credit right now. And the winner is Morpheus. Morpheus is the winner. And this comment was left on, I drew this earlier today, not that long ago, out of 112 total names. Morpheus is the winner. And all you have to do is to send me an email to Regie@regiecollects.com with your screen name, government name, mailing address. I like to have that for records, even though you're not going to be mailed anything. I like it for the records. Send me that email. I will reach out to the folks at Shortboxed. I will bundle up, if you will, the promotional code that they create. I will send it over to you, and then you will be good to go. And again, this is only for the United States. So if he or she, I'm guessing he is not in the United States, I have a backup that this will be awarded to. But shout out to the winner. And again, shout out to Shortboxed for putting me in a position to be able to give away some really cool stuff, i.e. a $100 credit. One of the things that I posted up on Instagram earlier today was basically a Q&A. I posted up a Q&A. I was like, hey, if you have questions, let me know what your questions are, and I will attempt to answer some of those questions. Several questions came in, and one of those questions was, when are we going to hear about your second project that is not Isolation? It's a wonderful question. Soon. Soon is the only answer that I'm going to give. I will tell you that it is a really cool project. It is a really cool project, and it builds upon previous projects, and it is part of a bigger plan that we have. And so in time, that announcement will come. But right now, the focus, because I'm one person, the focus has to be very narrow, and the focus is on isolation. And I think we're doing a bang up job. I will tell you guys that we have sold over 4,200 copies of isolation. We've sold over 4,200 copies of isolation, which is more than what we sold with the guide to smart comic collecting, which is a great thing. We sold 4,000 copies of a guide. That was something we did not expect. And we hoped that we would continue to be able to build upon that momentum. And now, even in the pre-sale, pre-release phase, we have sold more than 4,200 copies. And that tally was done, I want to say, into last week, over the weekend. So that number probably has changed a little bit as a result of the CGC announcement that has come out. That the number will go up when you guys see the exclusive cover that is being done for cons and will be first available at San Diego Comic-Con. The number will go up because that cover is amazing. And I'm actually going to be joined this coming Sunday by the person that worked on that cover. They're going to join me on Sunday. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to reveal that cover. And I will tell you, it is, in my opinion, it is amazing. It is amazing. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to tune in for the Sunday show, Ready, Set, Go preview show, because that will be revealed. And just for those folks that are not aware, Doug and I are going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con, but I'm now going with my own comic to do a signing with CGC. And that actually brings me to the second, one of the other questions that was asked in Instagram. And one of the other questions was just exactly how many more secrets you got, with two question marks after it. I will tell you a lot. I have a lot of secrets. And no, Matt Woods, I do not sleep. I have a lot of secrets, but I will tell you there are at least 4 more secrets just with isolation alone. At least 4 more secrets with isolation alone, and all will be revealed in time. All right. So one other thing I want to do real quick, and then we are going to look at the comic book index. We're going to look at the comic book index, and I want to get you all's opinion of that. I received a couple of things from people over the last couple of weeks that have been sitting off to the side for a while, and I cannot wait for another video to come up. I'm going to do it live. This is a box that came in from Donnie. Donnie sent this. My friend from the Great White North is, I think that's the right one. Okay, he says, I was hunting through my 12K collection and stumbled upon this issue of Planet of the Apes. I know you're a huge fan of Dale Keown. Dale, if I'm mispronouncing that, brother, my apologies. This is issue number 1 from 1990. Theme of the Wall, from the 1990, and has a cover by Dale. I am a big fan of your YouTube videos and figured you'd enjoy the comic. Hopefully you do not have this one. I do not, Donnie. I do not have this comic, but Planet of the Apes, a Dale K cover. You cannot go wrong. This is cool. This is a cool cover right here, a cool book, and a very thoughtful AOK. Shout out to Donnie for hooking me up. It is secured to the cover, or to the cardboard. So it's secured by looks like some blue painter's tape back there. Donnie, thank you very much for this AOK. I absolutely appreciate it. And no, again, I do not have this book, so I will put this one in the collection along with this note from Donnie that will go in the red folder that is in the closet where I keep all notes that people send me. Shout out to him. All right. Let me go on to this next thing. What is it? I just picked up Adventures of the Planet of the Apes #1 this weekend at the con. That's awesome. That's what the hell, Herman, my man, how you doing? I met this guy, his brother, his wife, and his 2 daughters. Shout out to Herman. It is good to see. It is cool when I have an opportunity to put a face to a name, and then I'm able to actually retain that name, because it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always happen. But yeah, definitely a really cool thing. I absolutely appreciate it, brother. Let me see, scrolling through. Are you putting more ash cans in next month's Soldier Supply? There is a strong possibility. There is a strong possibility that the real thing will be in next month's Soldier Supply box. I sometimes get frisky. There is a strong possibility that something very unique could be randomly inserted into next month's Soldier Supply box. Again, I told you guys I have four more secrets related to isolation, and I get frisky. There is a plan. Every project builds upon the next project. Every project lends itself to the next one, and sometimes there's a little bit of bleed back, right? So Soldier Supply box, over 2 pounds of comics and comic supplies that comes out every single month. This month, in the month of June, we inserted 5 isolation ash cans into there. The isolation comic itself has been printed. We are waiting for it to be bound and shipped. When it is received, rest assured, there are some additional surprises that will be forthcoming. So if you have not signed up for the Soldier Supply box, you never know. You never know what might find its way into the Soldier Supply box. One of the other things that we worked on a couple of weeks ago was a comic book index. And I had this idea a couple of years ago, and I've spoken about it off and on in various videos that I've released, where I talked about the similarities and differences between the comic book market and the stock market, for example. And going back at least 2 years, I made mention of one of the hard things about the comic book market is everything that we look at in terms of data is typically in hindsight. Typically, we're looking at it, it's already occurred, unlike the stock market, which is like real-time stuff, right? And so I finally got around to putting some meat on the bone in terms of a comic book index. I decided to start with modern comics. I put out a video. I was like, hey, what do you think would constitute a good book for a modern index of comics? And we put some criteria in there. It had to be a modern comic. There had to be an ample amount of these books graded. There had to be an ample number of transactions taking place for us to be able to evaluate movements with that comic, right? So you have to have some transactions in order for that book to have some meaningful enough activity to lend itself to us understanding some stuff. And so a huge shout out to everybody that took the time to comment on that video. Huge shout out to my man Chuck. Chuck took some time, went through all of the comments, tabulated all of the responses. He created a spreadsheet that had the comic, the issue, the publisher, the publishing date, the reasons why the book is a key, because we were looking for blue chip keys for the modern age. He tabulated the number of votes. He tabulated the total number of 9.8 on the census, and then also the total number of transactions that occurred between 2020 and 2022. So he put together some robust data for us to be able to figure out what type of books should actually be on this list. And in all, there were a total of 100 books that you guys brought forward, that you guys identified as being worthy of potentially being on a list of some sort. And I'm stalling here a little bit trying to find the list. And I think I have found it. I think I have now found the list. I want to show you all what I attempted to do. So I tried to put some criteria in place. Let me see if I can get this right. Try to put some criteria in place in order to determine which books should go on the list. And basically where I landed was that there had to be at least 1,000 graded 9.8s on the census, at least 1,000 copies. You have to have some supply out there. Then we needed to look at demand. And so what we looked at was, had there been at least 110 sales between 2020 and 2022, right? So 1,000 graded copies at a 9.8. Again, we're talking modern books, and at least 110 sales. So this is the list that I basically pulled together. It is from the list of 100 that you guys identified. I basically whittled it down to about 25 total books across multiple publishers. And I'm going to post this up on the community tab and open it up for comments as to whether there is something that is missing from this list and whether we have the right mix. I want to open it up for commentary. What I will tell you again is that we identified more than 100 books. There are a lot of books that are not here that were mentioned that did not meet the criteria of 1,000 copies at a 9.8 on the CGC census, and or did not have at least 110 sales. And I will show you some of those books, but things like Spawn 1, Venom, Lethal Protector 1, X-Men 2, ASM 361, the first appearance of Carnage. Some of these books are on the back wall. New Mutants 98, Batman, Killing Joke. I mean, you can see the 25 or so books from Marvel, DC, and Image that made the list. One of the things that I identified is that there are no Valiant comics back there. I do not remember if there were any Valiant comics that were brought forth as a suggestion. My guess is they would not meet the criteria of 1,000 copies graded at a 9.8 or 110 sales, which might be why no one brought those forward. But these are the 25 or so books that I identified. If there's books that are missing, let's talk about it. So let me try to show you all the screen. And you know, I had this math teacher back in 9th grade. His name was Dr. Waldman. And Dr. Waldman always used to say, show your work. So we're going to show some of the work here. It's a little messy, so bear with us. But this is the full list of 100 books, or 99 books now that I'm looking at it, that were identified, that were considered. The yellows are the ones that we ultimately put on the list. I did not include Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, the first appearance of Cindy Moon, Silk. Even though it met the criteria, I don't know about that book. I don't consider that book a blue chip. We have Thor, the first appearance of Jane Foster. That book has only started to do something as a result of the Love and Thunder book movie coming out. I don't know if that book's performance will be maintained, but you can see a healthy number of those books that had, you know, high volumes are actually included on the list. But let me scroll down and show you maybe some of the books that were not included. Things like Alias. Alias, it only had 967 9.8s, only 173 transactions. What else do we have on here? We have The Boys, issue number 1, super hot right now, only 710 and 248 transactions. We have Preacher on here, the first appearance of Preacher, only 704 total 9.8s and 112 total transactions. There were 2 mentions of this book, but again, did not necessarily meet the criteria. Again, the ones that are in white, you can see I'm a huge fan of Nocterra. There are only 553 9.8s and 113 transactions. But again, you can see some of the ones that did not necessarily make the list because they did not meet the criteria. The criteria, we can adjust if we think that it makes sense to do so, but I at least wanted to be a little transparent with some of the books that were mentioned, that were considered, that did not necessarily meet the criteria. You've got The Goon down here. You've got Miracle Man with 171 total copies. You have a lot of books that were recommended that were just outside of the age criteria, which I believe was 1985 and newer. So there were a lot of books that were actually great books that probably would have met the criteria, but were actually thrown out as a result of them being too old. Not that age is a bad thing, but again, roughly 99 total books that were identified. So there you go. All right. So scrolling back up through the list, I think we are in good shape now. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I'll go back to the chat. Let me see. Yes, we are only looking at CGC books. Yes, that is correct, because CGC is the gold standard, man. I mean, we've done a ton of analysis over the last couple of months to identify that there is definitely a value delta between CGC and CBCS. The CBCS census is also much, much smaller than the CGC census. So it could also be problematic to be able to get great data to determine what's actually happening. So CGC was what we deemed to be an important one. So the big question is, what will come next? Joe is throwing out here, the list should change at least annually to bring it up to date. How much does the Dow Jones change, right? How much does the Dow Jones index change? Because again, generally what we're speaking about is blue chip stocks, blue chip comics that should have some longevity, that should represent the market. Now, I am not opposed to making a change, right? The question will be, what criteria do you put in place to evaluate books that come off and books that go on? Right. And should there be a core set of books that do not change, right? Because the more variability you have from year to year, the harder it is to draw comparisons over time, right? So do you say, hey, there's some specific criteria for inclusion, and if something happens, 5%, 10% get swapped out, but 90, 95% remain the same? I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, but one of the things that I am thinking about is trying to pull together some other people that are smarter than me, looking at Quad Dad, a statistician, pulling together some people that are smarter than me to maybe help figure out what actually makes sense for this. Because I will tell you, I do not have all the answers, and I will not pretend, but there are a lot of really, really talented and smart people out there that could bring their talents to bear. Several of them have already messaged me thus far. But if you have some expertise, not just an opinion, but if you have some expertise and a willingness to pitch in, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to me at Regie at regiecollects.com or Instagram to have a conversation to figure out what makes magic happen. There you go. CGC makes sense for volume and consistency. Gold standard. The S&P stays mostly the same from year to year, small changes over time. Yeah, I think you have to have some changes. What is Joe saying here? He's saying the Dow changes dependent upon company valuation and or importance to the market analysis. There you go. And I can get on board. We have to decide what that looks like for what we are trying to do. And I've had some people reach out to me. I've even had some other people that have created videos in the wake of my video. And what I will tell you is I decided to start with modern comics because it's a little simpler. You go 9.8, you call it a day, right? When you start to talk about older books, I think you have to take into account census counts, availability. There are more factors where you can't just say 9.8s, right? 9.8s are bust. I think you have to look at different grades, and it becomes a little more complicated. So my hope is that if there is some appetite to make this work, and if this can work, then maybe we start to look at other ages of comics as well. Again, and if you remember the original video, I talked about the Dow Jones, which is different from the S&P, which is different from the NASDAQ index, right? There's different indexes that look at different things that tell you what's happening, and collectively they lend themselves to helping you to understand the market overall. And so we can have different indexes for the different ages of comics, but we have to start somewhere. And again, the criteria that I established was at least 1,000 graded CGC 9.8s and at least 110 sales in 2020 through 2022, which gave us from 100 books down to 25. I will again post up this list, either maybe Discord. Maybe Discord is a better place to post it. Let me noodle, but it will get posted up. And I definitely encourage you guys to comment. Comment so that I want to get the input. Can we access this list? I can't just put the list out there. People will mess around, create videos and steal credit. I don't know. No, the list, we will post up at least to 25. I will post at least to 25 so that folks can see what is going on. And I will tell you, I stopped at 25. The magic number might be 30. The magic number might be 30 or 23. Like, I don't know what the magic number is. My goal was to include books from the major publishers that wasn't just spandex. I mean, I wanted to have a mixture of books in there, new, old, superhero, non-superhero, and from the different publishers. I wanted to have some diversity in the index, and those were the 25 that kind of jumped out at me. So I will post it up, and then you guys will comment, and we will make some magic happen. I just wonder how much a comic maintains its FMV year over year. But are we looking at just FMV? I don't know if we're just going to look at FMV. I think that what we are going to be looking at is the overall metrics associated with these books, right? How much fluctuation there is, how many transactions there have been, how much the price has actually moved. The FMV is a mathematical calculation that I don't have full transparency into, right? So I don't know that FMV is all that we're going to look at. I think there are going to be lots of different metrics that we should probably take into account and then report out on to basically say, this is the health, if you will, of the modern comic book market, right? So I think that that's kind of sort of the goal. But again, smarter people than I will help to sort this out and to make sure that this actually makes sense and that we're doing something that's actually meaningful versus, you know, me being like, hey, let's just look at FMV because it's easy, right? So stay tuned. I definitely encourage folks to stay tuned because more to come. All right. So something also came in from my man, Eric. My man, Eric sent me something. And people always say this green tape is sold in other places, but I've only ever seen the green tape from Canada. And I think that holds true. Eric sent me this note. It says, thanks for all the good content. Eric, we're gonna change that. We're gonna change that real quick. We're gonna change that to great content is what Eric said. He says, thanks for all the great content. Enjoy the newsstands. Cheers, Eric. So Eric sent this over to me. It even has my name on it in the green painter's tape. So we're going to open this one up. This one, unlike the last one from Donnie, I did not open this one. So we're going to open it up. And I mean, from the note, we kind of know there's some newsstands in here. And I think I know what this is. Sometimes what happens is I have conversations with people and there's a little bit of a delay in me getting the thing and or me opening the thing. So I think I know what this is. But let's open it up and check out what it is that Eric sent over to me. Eric, like me, is a huge fan of the bubble wrap. I consider bubble wrap a blanket of love. It is a blanket of love, and I am a huge fan of loving the comics with lots and lots of bubble wrap. This green painter's tape is very sticky from Canada. Gotta love it. So let's open this up. There's a nice stack of books here. I think these are Mylar. I think he sent some Mylar. Maybe Mylar. We'll see. All right. So let's get this open and we'll flip it over. Oh, yeah. This is exactly what I thought it was. So I do believe Eric came across, and I don't remember the whole story because it's been a while, a nice stack of an amazing collection of newsstand books. And he reached out to me and I think he said, which ones do you need for your run? And I answered him. And we have right here X-Men #3 newsstand right there. This is volume 2 of X-Men, the Jim Lee era. He sent me 2 copies. All right, 2 copies of X-Men issue #3. And I do believe I have most of the run, but I don't have them all in newsstand. I have all of the issue #1s in newsstand and then some of the single number in newsstand. There's another issue #3. Eric, are these all issue #3, Eric? I don't know. I don't know. No, they're not. All right. There's issue #5 right there. I think that's the second appearance of Omega Red. And these are nice, man. These are nice, clean copies. I may send these bad boys to be graded. I will tell you, it would be awesome to have single digit volume 2 X-Men all graded newsstand. And so here is issue #5. I think that the reason he sent those is that these are the ones that I was actually missing from my single digit or low number newsstand volume 2 X-Men. So I think that's why he specifically sent these. Eric, I am very appreciative, brother. I think he sent me the whole list. He sent me the list of it and he was like, tell me what you need. And I was like, I think I just need these. So shout out to Eric. Shout out to every single subscriber that takes the time to send me something whether it be Newsstand X-Men or Planet of the Apes or birthday cards or gift cards, whatever it is. I am very appreciative of anyone that takes the time out to send me something, even if it's just a note to say thank you for the content, or hey, your content helped me with this, that, or the other. I am always appreciative of people taking the time to extend a handout to me. I appreciate that. Yeah, John. I mean, there is always a method to the madness, brother. And I'll be honest with you. I don't have all the answers. I really don't. I don't have all the answers. Some of these statistician like people have hit me with some, you got to do the weighted average. And I'm like, look, I have an MBA, but this is not what I do on a regular basis. So, but yeah, the goal ultimately, John, for this index is, a goal for this index is to put together something that is helpful to the community. At the end of the day, I feel like you need an index to know what the health of the market is, because I think people try to assume that they know by looking at this book or that book, right? They make general statements about the market, it's crashing, is doing this, is doing that. But without something formal, without something structured, we are just spitting in the wind. We don't really know what's going on, right? We are making assumptions based upon observations, and observations are limited. And so the idea of the index is, can we formalize something that has buy-in from people, that people can say, yeah, I get that, I kind of understand that. Here's maybe the caveats to it, the limitations of it, but I have something that I can look at to understand what is actually happening. People say there's a crash. Well, what's the definition of a comic book crash? Is there a definition of a comic book crash? There is no definition. There's a definition of a stock crash, and that definition, to some degree or another, is derived from where? Looking at what's happening in the stock market overall, looking at the indexes, right? We don't have that. Maybe now we are taking a step in the direction of having some actual insight versus kind of assuming we know what's going on. Checking the index year over year is a great way to understand its health and trends. Stand up. We have so much more data on the sports card side, like these indexes. So first of all, Neo, Rob, this is an original idea to Regie. Indexes outside of the Dow Jones do not exist. To be honest with you, I had no clue that there were indexes on the sports card side. I'm not surprised, because you guys are definitely more advanced than we are on the comic side. So I am not surprised in any way, shape, or form. And I just wish, honestly, that I had actually moved beyond. Well, let me. So I came up with this idea of an index at least 2 years ago. I've been talking about it for some time. I have spoken about it with some companies, because I give free advice to a lot of people, like, hey, it would be cool if you did this, right? Like, you should do this, right? And one of the things I've thrown out repeatedly is you should do an index. Do an index, not just a list of individual comics, and, do an index. And I've said it multiple times over a period of time, and no one has picked up the mantle to run with it. So maybe I'll just go ahead and pick it up, right? And I think, again, a lot of the stuff that I've done over the last couple of years has given me the confidence to be able to do something like this, even though, again, I don't have all the answers. One success lends itself to an appetite to take on more, and that's essentially what this is. So let me look real quick at my phone. Let me look at my phone real quick, because there were a couple of other questions that came in. Any websites, apps you recommend to read comics digitally? What I will say is one of the best probably is Marvel Unlimited. Last time I checked, they have 25,000 comics available to be read on the app. Mixed reviews about the Comixology Amazon app, right? Mixed reviews on that, but that is also not a bad way to go. There are some other free bootleg services out there that I will not mention. But again, there are lots of options for people, official and unofficial. I try not to promote the unofficial stuff, so you will not get that from me. And do not send me a message asking me to disclose that, because people have done it, and I will not give you that answer. Superman and Zod versus Thor and Sentry. Who wins? Thor and Sentry, because The Sentry is amazing. The Sentry, aka Robert Reynolds, is amazing and definitely OP. That means overpowered. Marvel over DC any day. Chris Bigger, I'm looking at you. Joe, I'm looking at you. All right. And there's a question here. How would you put together an index like the S&P 500 for comics? My man Matthew asked that question of me earlier today, which is part of the reason why I went through the whole thing a second ago about the index that we are working on. What I will tell you, Matthew, is that, again, it starts with the modern index, trying to put that together, trying to make that make sense, and then trying to go from there, right? I am a huge fan of getting community input, trying to gain alignment, trying to gain consensus, giving people an opportunity to comment, because again, I'm no smarter than you guys, right? And in many ways, you guys are smarter than me. I just have a microphone and some good lights, and I get on here and run my mouth, and people occasionally tune in to listen in. But I think that there's a tremendous amount of expertise in the comic book community. Again, we are not just comic book readers and collectors and speculators. We have professional jobs that can be brought to bear to help me to figure out what an index actually looks like. So again, if you have some expertise, not just an opinion, reach out. Let's figure this thing out. Let's see if we can make some magic happen. What's the theme of the wall? I see DC and Marvel mixed in there. The theme of the wall, Frog Brawler has sorted it out. The theme of the wall is 90s. Dangers, it is the 90s when I originally started collecting comics back in the day. And I expect nothing else from Joe. I expect nothing else from Joe and Chris Bigger. Well done. E2 Herman, E2. Really, brother? I thought we had a connection at Heroes Con. I thought we had a Marvel connection at Heroes Con. I guess not. Is Otis still a thing? I don't know, brother. I don't know if Otis is this. So for those that don't know, Otis was basically one of the mini services out there that was basically selling shares of comics. They would basically take a comic, they would evaluate the value of that comic, they would break it up into fractional shares, sell those shares off, and hold that item in a vault. And so I think Otis itself is probably still a thing because they were in many different areas. But whether they're still doing comics, I do not know. There were actually several different companies that I was speaking with probably over a year and a half ago that were attempting to come in and do fractionalization type of things like this. I really don't know where those companies are today. I really don't know. So scrolling through some of the comments here. Philtastic, Sentry can take them out as long as he's mentally stable. Philtastic, let's be completely honest, you are spot on. For anybody that knows, Robert Reynolds, aka the Sentry, is mentally unstable. He is a tragic character, but when he has his game face on, he is an absolute beast. I read this comic with the Sentry back in 2005, 2006. It was the whole New Avengers thing. The Sentry dropped. I was blown away by that comic. Absolutely loved it. Scrolling through some of the comments, I think, Trev, I agree, brother. And that's one of the struggles. That's one of the struggles for these companies that are trying to come into the comic book community and sell fractional shares. But the reality is that we are not necessarily their target audience, right? We as collectors want to touch the physical thing. We want the newsstand copy of X-Men #5 in our hand. That's what we want. But there are a lot of people that are attracted to the hobby, that have been attracted to the hobby, that just want to participate in it as if it were just another asset to be managed, to be acquired. I think that is essentially the target for a lot of this stuff, not necessarily collectors. Now, and you can make that claim about fractionalization of shares or NFTs that are based upon comics, there is an overlap. There is absolutely an overlap between those people that want those things and comic book collectors, but it is not a 100% overlap in any way, shape, or form. There are a subset of collectors that are cool with NFTs and all that kind of stuff, and that's actually okay. That's actually okay. Again, I'm a huge fan of all types of people coming to this hobby, and I don't care. I don't care what floats your boat. If you are buying and supporting the hobby of comics, I am on board. I don't care. You want to buy comics just for the covers? Get after it. You want to make money on comics? Get after it. You want to buy them and never read them? I don't care. Get after it. I'm a huge fan of the more the merrier. The tent is big enough for everybody. It is big enough for everybody. I would buy shares. That's what's up. That's what's up. Scrolling through, I think I'm all caught up. All right, so we are gonna wrap this up again. Huge shout out to Morpheus, who is the winner of the $100 credit from our friends over at Shortboxed. This is a giveaway that I do every single month, and you get in on this thing simply by watching the video. And at the start of the video, I'm like, hey, this is the Shortbox video, right? And all you have to do is to comment on the video something substantive, and you could be a winner. The next month's video, of course, will be forthcoming. Stay tuned to the channel for all of those details. I think I have one more video. I have one more video dropping this week. And the video that is coming out this week is how to handle what is happening right now. And if you are paying attention, some comic book prices are starting to tumble. And the question is, how do we navigate these waters? And I think that this is an important video for those people that are new to comics or newly returning, that have not seen anything other than the increase in the value of comics over the last 2 years. Prices have been going up. And I will tell you, the sky is not falling. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. And in this video, we're going to talk about the fact that it's going to be okay, but how do you navigate these waters? What do you do now that prices aren't continuing to go up? I'll talk about that in this video. I think it's an important video for the comic book community, hence me recording it and taking time to edit it and release it. I hope you guys will watch it. A couple of the other videos released this week are a CGC top 10 video and a disappointing unboxing. Those were the other two videos that were released this week. All right. Oh, there we go. There's a winner. There you go. I didn't even see you, brother. Welcome. He says, who won? You won. You won. Make sure you send me an email to Regie@regiecollects.com. 1G. Send that to me with your screen name, your government name, and your mail address. You won. You, sir, won the $100 credit from my friends over at Shortboxed. All right. For those also that may have missed the announcement, there was a really awesome announcement from our friends over at CGC. This was a little surprise that Doug and I had been holding back for quite some time. We are, let me see if I can take that off screen. Bear with me. We were included in a really awesome private signing going down at San Diego Comic-Con. And it's really crazy to see your name with Frank Miller, J. Scott Campbell, Mark Silvestri, Donnie Cates, Ryan Otley, Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, Jonathan Hickman. I mean, the list goes on. And then to see some Yahoos down here at the bottom, like this Yahoo, it's crazy. Not this Yahoo, because this guy has some talent. But this other guy, it is crazy to see this right here. But we are doing a signing at the San Diego Comic-Con, and all of the details for this thing are available on the CGC website. We are going to be releasing a San Diego Comic-Con, or I should say a con specific cover for Isolation. And I'm going to reveal that cover this coming Sunday. We're going to have the artist on. We're going to look at the cover. We're going to talk about the cover, but it will be available for sale at San Diego Comic-Con. And then, of course, that book will be available for sale and details regarding what's happening at San Diego Comic-Con will be forthcoming. So I definitely encourage you guys to stay tuned for that. Some of my favorite Yahoos. Let's be clear, I am the only Yahoo on this list. The other people are like super talented people where I'm like, oh, these names make sense. But then you get down here and you see this guy. Yeah, I mean, Doug has a track record of being a cartoonist. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I was driving down the street when this announcement was broken. The very first thing that I saw was from Nerdy Girl, and she was like, shout out to Regie for this. And I was like, oh snap, the news is out. Now I got to do something. And so, yeah, just a complete surprise that they broke the news, but very, very humbling. Shout out to Doug. Shout out to Doug for working with me to make some magic happen. So Regie, will you ever get an Action Comics 1 charging only $45 for cyber? So that's $45. I think that also includes the grading. I think my signature is only $5. I think because again, when you look at the list of names of people that are here and you hear what some of these professionals are charging, it would be weird for me to charge a big number. Like, I felt weird about that. So I was like, $5. Let's go with $5 because I think that that's worthwhile. Will I ever own Action Comics #1 charging $5? No. No, I will not, Donnie. Oh, shout out to Donnie. Shout out to Donnie. Here we go. Shout out to my man, Donnie. Donnie, I don't know how long you've been here. Shout out to Donnie. There we go. Right there. Shout out to you, brother. I definitely appreciate that. Former bodybuilders are well known. Don't kid yourself, brother. I am a men's physique, former IFBB pro. I am not Lou Ferrigno. I wish that I was Lou Ferrigno or Arnold Schwarzenegger, more well known. Regie and I are cheap, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up, man. It has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you guys. I hope that you all have enjoyed the show, and if you have, I want to invite you to do 2 things. Hit the thumbs up button because it's good for the algorithm. Super simple. Second thing, if you are watching and you enjoyed it and you have not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and that way you won't miss out on any of the content that comes out from the channel. As always, if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
My body ate itself until it found its passion. They got fat while we starved, but it's power in fasting. Until I turn to ashes, I remain stoic through my rap heroics. I painted 10,000 poems, then I drank the potion of poetry and motion. I started choking, it was potent. My throat chakra downloaded, knowledge hungry. I was embarrassed I could ask my parents for money when I had a full tummy. So I asked for wisdom, better than crypto, sweeter than honey. I don't take it for granted, I don't wear capes and masks.